Another long three-pointer. Oh. She got it! Are you kidding me?
Hall of Fame player
Sheryl Swoopes, 6 foot, 145. Boy, she could do it all.
Turned Loyola College basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes is being investigated this morning amid allegations that she mistreated players.
It was the environment she created. I was belittled, humiliated, made to feel extremely small.
Head coach since 2013. Last year, 5 of her players reportedly transferred to different programs. And this year, a reported 10 of the team's 12 players aren't planning on coming back.
An iconic athlete celebrated for their unparalleled achievements and profound influence on the sport.
And here's the thing, what incriminates, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, but what incriminates somebody like Sheryl Swoopes even more, who, by the way, was supposed to be calling the game with y'all yesterday, and she did not call the game, and no doubt it had something to do with the fact that when, you know, how Caitlin Clark had performed early in the week, she didn't want to talk about it at all. So we recognize that, and we know in television the way that I do. I know what producers do. I know what bosses do when you see, you know, your personal feelings, whatever they may be, infiltrating the proceedings and compromising your position as a professional. But I think in the case of Sheryl Swoopes, and I'm not going to belabor this point, but it's important to be made. Sheryl Swoopes is a winner. She was great. And she's a phenomenal basketball mind. So what she's not realizing is that when she doesn't state the obvious, it's automatically going to be assumed that it's something personal, because we know you know the basketball game, the game of basketball too well to ignore the kind of things that she's ignoring when it comes to Caitlin.
Former Loyola College basketball coach Sheryl Swoopes is being investigated amid allegations of player mistreatment.
Time Caitlin gets fouled, we can't make it seem like she was assaulted. Why like a Stephen A. Smith? It was that important to you to run the Kennedy Carter hip check, right? That was everywhere. But yet you didn't even discuss what Alyssa Thomas did to A.
Sheryl Swoopes, who served as head coach since 2013, experienced substantial player turnover, with reports indicating that 5 players transferred last year and 10 out of 12 opted not to return this season. Consequently, the program not only replaced her but deliberately moved on from her leadership.
Spent 5 years calling companies, trying to get them to be a partner, and that inflection moment happens and people are calling us saying, how can we get on your jersey patch? And so it's, you know, I've had the 5 years of that not being the case. You know, my sponsorship people would sell a fever deal for $5,000. And I said to them, I don't even get out of bed for $5,000. Like, what are we doing here? Like, don't devalue the product. And they said, yeah, but people don't want to support it. I said, because you're teaching them they don't have to. And so we had some growth to do that got us ready for this moment. Yeah. But, you know, that's, you know, Caitlin makes me look smarter, more strategic, all the things, like all of it.
And what led to this? Just a few months ago, Caitlin Clark stepped in with unwavering confidence. Some might even call it arrogance, forecasting challenges ahead for the Indiana Fever.
When she was in college, I helped do her shoe deal with Nike in 1993, took her to her first SBs. I've known Sheryl, I've coached her, have a lot of respect for her. I called her when Caitlin was still playing at Iowa and she had just broken Maravich's record. And it was all over the place, as you and I have discussed, that, you know, there was this quote by Sheryl that said, you know, Caitlin was, you know, 25 years old. She was, however old, 24 years old. She was a fifth-year senior. Right. She was taking 40 shots a game. Her records were illegitimate. And I got off the treadmill and I called her as a friend. And I said, you know, you can say whatever you want. You can have your own opinion about anybody, but you do have to get the statistics right. I mean, facts matter. And if you just get ahead of this and just say, hey, I made a mistake on my number.
She dismissed Caitlin Clark's statements, firmly insisting that no one would want to play in Indiana and boldly claiming that top talent would never sign with them. But fast forward to today, and the Fever have just made history with the biggest free agency move in WNBA history. They've secured superstars, true game changers, while Swoopes remains noticeably silent.
This is on a 3 rebound, Howard. And as if this game hadn't already seen everything, I'm going to jump ball on a...
You know that feeling when someone suddenly goes quiet after making a lot of noise? That's exactly what's happening here.
Shooting, spacing, switchable defense, being able to play different lineups for the Fever. Like, they might be able to go small and put her at the 5 without Aaliyah Boston out there and play a lot faster. They re-signed Kelsey Mitchell. They bring in Natasha Howard. They bring in Sophie Cunningham, who's going to probably be coming off the bench from the Phoenix Mercury, who's also just someone who can wait on the wing and catch Caitlin's passes and just knock them down. Like, they have loaded up around Caitlin. Drew, you say it's similar to Warriors. I'm looking at the Spurs and being like, listen, this second-year Wemby guy is ready to go. Like, I think Caitlin Clark is at that ascension point where she's going to be top of the MVP race. We're going to talk about her in terms of stat leaders later, but the way that the Indiana Fever just made a statement around Caitlin Clark and said, like, hey, we're pushing in the chips. We're ready to...
It's sending shockwaves through the entire league, and we're here to break it all down.
I think the reality of it is that I don't think people would know what else he squared, so shout out to Caitlin. That's just the reality. I think she's done an unbelievable job of bringing, obviously her own fans and people that support her. But, for me, I kind of laugh at it and I embrace it at the same time because I've always kind of flew under the radar. I've always kind of been that person or that player, very conservative, very introvert. So now I get to see the flip side of it. It's kind of funny. I can laugh about it because I know it's come from a genuine place, but I embrace it from a standpoint of like people not guaranteed to see me play, and now that they do.
But before we jump into the exciting details, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel. Stay tuned for the latest WNBA news, expert analysis, and exclusive coverage you won't find anywhere else. Now let's get started.
Wait. Yep. You look good on me, huh? Look good. Like a whole 360. Like, I think I was talking to my wife about it. I'm like, man, what if I go back to Indiana where I started? That'd be crazy. Look where I'm at. Yeah. So I'm happy to be back. It's closer to my family, friends. So, and unfinished business.
The Indiana Fever just sent a powerful message centered around Caitlin Clark. We're all in. We're ready to win now. They didn't just enter free agency. They took control of it. This wasn't just about signing players. They constructed a powerhouse. You know that feeling in franchise mode when you go all out, stacking your roster with elite talent. That's exactly what the Fever just pulled off.
The way they came back the second game, it just makes you excited to, okay, I want to be a part of that. They didn't lay down and quit. They came back and actually try to beat us early, that next game. So it just shows a lot about their character and how hungry they are. And
welcome back inside Fever basketball. This is a moment that would have felt impossible just a couple of years ago. DeWanna Bonner sitting here in an Indiana Fever jersey, but a lot is...
That's exactly what Indiana just did. They went all in, stacking their roster with championship-caliber players, fierce competitors, and athletes who bring both skill and star power. This wasn't just another off-season. It was a strategic takeover.
For season, she shot an impressive 38% from the three-point line. And among players to hit at least 200 threes over that time, only 4 players in the entire league have shot it better from distance. One of those being Kelsey Mitchell.
Seen a free agency where one player has had the kind of impact that Stewie has on every other decision. Talking to a front office person yesterday, and they said everyone is waiting on Stewie. So this might be players waiting to see which team has their need, which team has the cap space. Teams waiting to see the same thing. So certainly fair to say that Brianna Stewart, the dominant...
Unable to hit. Bree Jones, another 0 board for Connecticut. Better look for Mabry. Off the ball. And again, the clock operators put the shot clock at 14 rather than 24, and Caitlin Clark's frustrated.
And that's where you brought up the Fever. I think what I've learned in my WNBA experience is pace of play trumps physicality, it trumps size, it can trump experience, because a lot of times when you're experienced, it's really like code word for your veteran, which is code word for your old.
Slow the pace.
Yeah. So I feel like
I know that's why you guys were so good for
in
those years.
2018 and 2020, the years we won, that was our whole mantra was pace, 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 pace. And what I see in Caitlin, what I see in Kelsey Mitchell, they're just like ramming it down people.